Right, today we talk about Chapter 4, Introduction to Classes, Objects, Methods, and Strings. Class is a big concept in object-oriented computer programming language. It's a big concept, and it takes time to understand the class. We'll go from Chapter 4 to Chapter 10 to cover class. It takes time to understand it and practice with it. And today we give you a basic idea about a class, and then later on we're going to talk about the different features of class. We'll talk about class and object, methods, attributes, variables, properties, string objects, objects method, and the difference between instance variables of a class and the local variables of methods constructor. Chapter 4 gives you some idea about a class. It's not complete. Like I said, we'll spend around 5 chapters to understand the class. So in Chapter 4, we'll talk about a class briefly, give you some idea about how the class look like and how to use it. But it's not complete. Class has variables inside, methods, attributes, properties. And the book introduced a first class called a Grade Book CS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly create this class. So I open my Visual Studio, and then I create a new project. Still, we choose the console application. I'll save it to my folder. Let me see, where do I go? So I create this project and put it into my folder, and I click OK. And when you do this here, you give a name to this project, and the name that you give will become the class name. So for example, I'm going to say Grade Book. Grade Book is my project name. So when I run it, before I do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say Gradebook test, because this is the console application. So click OK. Now my project is created, and notice here, this is my project name. This is my project name. And notice here, I have namespace grade test. This is my project name, and inside I have a class called a program, and that's the one we're talking about. I can rename it to anything else, anything I want. For example, I'm going to rename it to, I say, GB test. All right, and then I hit enter, and say, do you want to? I say yes. Now you can see I have GB test, which is this one that we're talking about. And inside we have a main function because the console, it must need a main function as the driver of this program. And after that, I'm going to create a new class. So we add a new class project to this add a new class file to this project. What you can do is I click right here. See, I click the root. Right here, I say add, and then I say new item. And inside, I choose class. Now I give a name. Give a name. Here I say grade book. And notice here, when I do this, I have another class created here called grade book. Inside, I have class. The class here is a keyword. And it's, in my case, it's blue. And here's a grade book. And inside, you can add your code. So here, we're talking about how to create a class. I make it very simple. And all I do is I add a line of code saying write line. Write line. And give me some error here, invalid token. What does it mean? Let me see. Oh, okay. See, I got an error message here because I did it wrong. I want to display the message from this class, but notice this is the class, and this is the code of line to do write line. I cannot do this like here. I have to do it like this. This is called a method. In the method, I call console write line. So this is the first time for you to see we have a method inside of the class. If you took COP 1000 before, you must remember what a method is. So here, I give a few definitions here. We have a class. Now in the class, we have method. And method is also called a function. In C++ or C language, you say function, you never say class. In Java, C#, you call it method. So here, class. And if you read the book talk about a class over and over again, give you a lot of idea about a class, many pages. Give an example, say, for example, on our book, it says, let's begin with an analog analogy to help understand class and their class. Suppose you drive a car, blah blah blah. When I read this here, I was very confused. I never understand what they're talking about. And also, there's a definition for class. C# we began creating app unit called class to house a method, and just the car engineering drawing the house and the design of the accelerator pedal. In class, you provide one or more methods, and blah blah blah. To me, this doesn't make any sense. It's nothing. I don't know what they are talking about. Same thing as the method. When you drive a car, blah blah blah. It's very confusing. So ignore this. There's nothing. You wouldn't understand what they are talking about. And so, right here, what is class? You remember my my definition about a class. I believe my definition is the best. Is the most appropriate. Is you can understand what I'm talking about here about class. Remember my definition. Ignore the book. Class. What is class? Class is a user defined data type. It's a data type. That's class. That's it. So simple. What is class? It's a data type. Data type. What do you mean? What is data type? Data type. What is data type? For example, we say int integer is data type. Double is a data type, right? Decimal. String these are the different data type, right? These are data type. I call these as a built-in data type. Means these data types are defined in the language automatically. So they are called a built-in types. Then what is class? We say class is a user-defined data type. For example, if you say in your project you want to manage different things. For example, we say you want to manage student, and you want to manage faculty. So student and faculty, these are two different things. When I say student, you know what it means. When I say faculty, you know what it means. Student doesn't mean integer. 1, 2, 3, 4 is not student. In 1, 2, 3, 4 is not faculty. Student is much more than integer. Students has first name, last name, student ID, address, phone number. Same thing as a faculty has all this information. And student and faculty are different. Student has a function as study, do homework. Faculty has functions, teach, grade. So they have different functions. So they are different. Then in your project, if you want to manage student and faculty, there's no such a type that you can refer to, because we have student Tom, student Linda, student James, and so on. And then we have faculty Peter, faculty John, faculty Nancy, and so on. They're all different. So we have so many students, we have so many faculties that we want to manage in a project. And then this time we do need a type called a student. Then if I have a type of student, now I say student Linda, student Tom, student Peter, and faculty I say faculty John, faculty James, and so on. So if we have such a type available in the language, then we can use that type to manage those things here. But the things, there's no such a type available. This time I want to manage student faculty. Next time in my project, I probably want to manage cars. I want to manage house. I want to manage machines. There's no such a type available for me to use. Therefore, we need a class. We need a type. We need those different types in different projects. If they don't exist, I want to create these types. And that's time we use class. We use class to create a user-defined data type. That is class.